Welcome to You Multicultural channel. My name is Jocelyn Gilbert, and today at the Newcomer Network, I have a special guest. His name is Jeff Patterson, and we are going to be talking about some of the resources that new Canadians can get when they come to Canada. I know it's a little bit of a challenge when we are coming from professional fields that are regulated, but we don't know. And sometimes we have to start working in jobs that we don't feel that much comfortable with, or we don't know about the resources that we have to work on those fields. Jeff is going to talk about those resources today. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming with us. I would like you to introduce yourself and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Jeff. I work at SEED Winnipeg, and I'm the loan coordinator for a program called Recognition Counts. And Recognition Counts is a program that provides financial assistance through a loan to help new Canadians, help them pay for the cost of having their credentials from back home recognized here so that they can go back to the same job they were working back home, a similar job, or a completely alternative profession.
I love it. And you know, those resources, when we are coming, we have so many things in our minds. If we're having family, where are we going to take the children for daycare, school, and so many things to think about, and we forget about ourselves as professionals. And sometimes we don't know about the resources. Tell us a little bit more about this incredible loan.
Sure. So we started this program because we know that there are new Canadians who arrive in Canada and don't have all of the money that they need in order to be able to pay for the cost of having their credentials recognized from back home. So regulated professions like doctors, pharmacists, engineers, accountants, lawyers, and things like that, they will have a professional certification process through a regulatory body that they need to go through. There will be steps, there will be costs, there will be exams and things like that along the way. And as a new immigrant, sometimes you don't have the money to be able to pay for all of those things. And so Recognition Counts was created to have an access to financial assistance through a loan to be able to help to pay for those costs and expenses. And so the aim of the program is to help expedite the process of having internationally trained professionals, internationally educated professionals get back to their career sooner.
Yeah, and something that you mentioned, not only to go back to their professions, but alternative careers. How does that work?
Yeah. So when a person arrives in Canada, they might look into the process of having their credentials recognized for the same profession that they did back home, and they might make a decision that that's too long or too difficult or too expensive for them. And so they might want to look at doing something completely different. As well, you know, maybe someone felt stuck back home and coming to Canada is a new opportunity to do something completely brand new, something that maybe they dreamed about doing when they were younger and didn't have the opportunity to, and now they have that opportunity here. So alternative careers is simply the idea that you might be exploring something different, a different type of occupation here in Canada than what you did back home, but you still need some help paying for the training to be able to be qualified to work in that occupation.
Is there something else that you can do with the money other than the training?
Absolutely. I mean, the most frequent request that we have for the loan is for tuition, exams, coaching and preparation programs to help people be successful with their exams and whatnot. But there are other things that people might need the loan money for too. For example, in some professions, people have to pay for their own equipment. So in the trades, for example, if you're an automotive service technician or a carpenter or something like that, you're going to have to buy your own tools and equipment. In the healthcare industry, you usually have to get immunizations, CPR certificates, and things like that. And so we can help pay for profession-specific costs like that. And also, sometimes people need to take a little bit of time off of work to study for an exam or to travel to another province to take an exam. And so If a person needs to take some time off of work and they can't afford to lose those wages, then reasonable amounts of living costs can be requested through the loan too to help fill in that gap.
For example, to pay for rent or
Exactly.
grocery.
Rent, child minding, groceries, transportation, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And who's eligible for that program? It's everyone?
Basically, any internationally trained professional that needs financial assistance with paying for the cost of having their credentials recognized. We see the most frequent requests from regulated professions because those professions have a process and a license or a certificate that's required to work in that profession. So we see the most requests from those folks, but also people in non-regulated professions will apply too. For example, people that are looking at doing a 2-year diploma program might come and apply for financing from us.
Okay. When we talk about loans, I'm just thinking, why should I have access to your loan and not to a regular loan?
That's a good question. So, what our experience is that newcomers have difficulty applying for loans here in Canada because they don't meet the regular criteria that banks and credit unions in Canada are looking for. So, having stable employment, stable housing, a Canadian credit history and a Canadian credit score, a positive net worth, and things like that. Many new Canadians, when they get here, haven't had the chance to establish themselves, so they may not have an established track record with their housing or their employment. They very likely spent most, if not all, of their money just getting here, and so they don't have any other funds to rely on to demonstrate personal net worth or anything like that. So we've done a few things with our program to make it more accessible. We have worked with our funding partner and our financial partner to have more flexible terms and conditions for the loan. And we have also negotiated with our financial partner for things like a lower interest rate and flexible repayment that wouldn't be able to be received from a traditional loan. So, for example, our low interest rate, which is currently 6.45%, is a pretty low interest rate compared to what a person might be getting in a.
It's December 2024.
So the interest rate for the loan right now is 6.45%, which is a pretty low interest rate compared to the other types of loans that a person might qualify for. And the interest rates in Canada have been coming down over the last year, so that's been a really good thing to keep the cost of the loan low.
And how can we apply to this loan?
That's a great question. So most people are going to start by researching the pathway to their occupation. So they're going to need to learn what are the steps, what is the timeline, and what is the cost to get to that occupational goal. And people will usually need some help with that. And so they can go to one of our referral partners. The Recognition Counts program has 2 referral partners. One of them is Manitoba Start, and the other one is Manitoba Jobs and Skills Development Center through the Training Employment Services Department. So people can go to those agencies to receive career counseling and career coaching to help them with their career plan. And if their career coach thinks that their career plan is realistic and achievable, then they'll refer the person directly to me at Recognition Counts to complete the application forms.
Can you tell me a little bit about a plan that is realistic and achievable?
Sure. So the plan being realistic and achievable means that the occupation that they're studying or training for, that there's a reasonable chance of success with that career plan, that the career plan is able to be done in 2.5 years or less, and that there is demand for the occupation that they're studying or training for. So if all those things are met, then that should mean that the career plan is realistic.
Oh, that's interesting. And then coming back to the loan, because I forgot to ask, I heard there are 2 types of loans.
That's true, yeah. So we have one loan for assessments. So for regulated professionals that need some help paying for the assessment costs of going through their foreign credential recognition process, might need a loan to be able to help pay
Can
for
you
those
give me a
things.
few examples of those professions that are assessed?
Yeah, pharmacists, engineers, doctors, accountants, medical laboratory technicians, nurses. They're all going to have a formal assessment process through the regulatory body that is going to assess their foreign credentials and tell the applicant what remediation they may or may not need to do in order to be able to receive the license and work in that profession here in Manitoba.
Okay.
So the assessment loan can help pay for things like the assessment fee, document translation, getting documents brought over from back home, and English language testing. The other loan that we have is for foreign credential recognition, and that loan is for regulated professions, non-regulated professions, including the trades. And that loan is going to support people through their credential recognition process. So helping them pay for tuition, books, exam fees, and things like that. The steps that they need to take in order to be successful with getting their license and getting back to work in their field.
Good. And how do you pay that money back?
Yeah, so the loan is paid back through monthly installments. With the assessment loan, it has regular monthly payments over a maximum of 3 years. And then with the foreign credential recognition loan, there's some flexibility built into it. So like I was saying before, we've worked with our partners to try to design this loan to meet our internationally trained professionals where they're at. So the credential recognition loan has an interest-only period. And the purpose of that is to keep payments a little bit lower for people while they're undertaking their process, while they're studying for exams and taking courses and things like that. So they can have up to 2.5 years to make interest-only payments over, and then they have 5 years to repay the balance of the loan through monthly principal and interest payments.
Oh, that's interesting. So the assessment loan, you are going to start paying 1 month after you get the money. But the credential recognition loan, you will start paying interest. And when you're done with your plan, you start paying interest and capital.
That's right.
That's great. And both are the same interest rate?
Same interest rate for both, yeah. Yeah, as of December 2024, the interest rate right now is 6.45% for both of those loans.
Yeah. And I asked you about the regular loans from other financial institutions and your loan. What about student aid? Because as far as I know, student aid is a non-interest rate loan. Why should we go to you and not to Manitoba Student Aid or other national student aid?
Great question. So recognition counts as just one potential source of financial assistance for folks. There are other sources of financial assistance depending on what a person's doing and what the steps are in their plan. When it comes to Manitoba Student Aid and the National Student Loan Program, those programs are excellent programs. And if a person is taking a full-time or part-time program at an accredited college or university, they may qualify for that type of financing. And student loans from the provincial and federal government have a lower interest rate, they have a grace period, and they have a longer repayment term. So if a person will qualify for a student loan, that's going to be a better option than the recognition counts loan. However, the student loans don't necessarily cover all the potential costs that a person might have during their credential process. And so it is common for people that qualify for a student loan to sometimes come and ask for a recognition counts loan too, because we can fund things that the student loan is not able to fund. For example, those living costs that we talked about before.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that. So you can have access to both.
That's true.
And something that some newcomers think about the Manitoba, the national student loan, is that it's no interest, as I mentioned before. So that's wrong.
Well, my understanding is that there's no interest while the person's doing their studies.
Okay.
And then there's I think a 6-month grace period once they're graduated from their studies. And then the interest will start to accrue after that.
That's great. But that's not your field.
It's not my field. I'm not an expert. That's just my understanding. Yes.
And what about if I want to pay everything all together before the period ends?
That's a great question. So yeah, you can absolutely do that. Our loan is considered to be open, which means that it can be paid off early, anytime without any extra penalty. So that means if a person wants to make extra payments, a lump sum payment, or pay the whole loan off all at once, they'll only have to pay the interest up to the date of payment and nothing more.
Yeah. You know, Jeff, something that we struggle with when we come to Canada, it's that we don't know about the resources. We don't know about how finances work. We don't know about how to use a credit card. it's different. We know in our countries, but it works different in here. Do you provide any support in that?
Absolutely. So the loan is what we're most known for, but we also have some financial education modules that are available on demand, online, self-paced, which means that people can access them and do the courses at their own pace. So we have three. One is about budgeting, one is about understanding and managing debt, and the other one is about how financial institutions in Canada evaluate credit. So we have those courses available, and people also have the option to talk to me, about their finances. So if they have questions, if they have concerns, if they're looking for some advice, I have 20 years of experience in the financial services industry, and so I'm able to provide people with that type of service too.
Are those services for everybody or just for the people who apply to the recognition counts?
It's just for our clients right now, but we're hoping to be able to expand that in the future.
How do you think this benefits Manitoba? This is a community program, and we are focusing on bringing important information for our community in Manitoba. So how do you think this is bringing value to the province?
Well, I think what it actually is I think it's immigrants are bringing the value to Manitoba, and we're simply just going through a process of recognizing that value. I think immigrants, new Canadians, bring a wealth of skills and culture and education and experience that all people in Canada can benefit from. So I think the benefit is we are helping lift people up and providing with an option for them to be able to get back to their careers faster than if they had to wait and save up all the money themselves, which would be very difficult, if not impossible. So I think we're helping accelerate that process, and I think that we're also making a human connection with folks. Because our program is staffed with real people and we have one-to-one meetings with all of our clients, we're able to provide them with individualized care and support to be able to help them be as successful as they can through their process.
Someone is new here. Sometimes people are coming with permanent residence already, or some people are coming with study permit, open work permit. Who can apply for your program, to your program?
So folks that have international education or experience that needs to be recognized here and have a career plan that can be achieved in 2.5 years or less. In addition to that, they can be a permanent resident. They could be a naturalized Canadian citizen. They could be here with an open work permit. So any temporary foreign worker with an open work permit may qualify. There is a condition with work permits, however, that their plan must be able to be completed before the end date of their open work permit. So that's a condition that we have to be aware of. The only types of immigrant status that we're not able to serve right now are student visas, live-in caregiver visas, and refugee claimants.
Yeah, that's because of funding, yeah?
Correct. Our program is free of charge. We don't have any fees for our program. There's no application fee or assessment fee or anything like that. And that's possible because of the funding that we get from our funding partners, ESDC Canada and the province of Manitoba.
Yeah, so it's important to say that you are not a business.
Correct. Yes.
Because people may feel we are promoting businesses here.
Yeah. No, I like to think of it as we're promoting careers. That's what we're promoting is the ability to get back to your career. And if a loan can help you do that, then that's great. Let's talk about it. But a loan is not necessarily the right option for everybody, and we're never gonna coerce or force or try to convince someone to borrow money when they don't think it's the right choice for them.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jeff. Would you like to give any advice to our community today?
I think one piece of advice that I could give is for anyone who has not made the journey to Canada yet, if there's any way that you can do some research about your profession prior to arrival to get an understanding of who's the regulator, which regulatory body do I need to go to, in which province, and get an idea of what the steps and the timeline and the cost might be for working in that profession, so that you have a clear vision of what that might look like before you make plans to come.
Yeah. And for those people who are already here, I want to give an advice. It's not about listening others, but it's about going to the proper resources like Jeff, Manitoba Start, and learn about the resources. So thank you so much, Jeff, and thank you to our wonderful audience. See you next time, and don't forget to share this wonderful video with your colleagues, with your friends, your relatives, and see you soon. Bye-bye.